Hi, Kim Rayner here from All About Spirits Life After Cancer, and I want to welcome you to episode 46 of Life After Cancer. And today's episode is called Prayer, Meditation, and Surviving Cancer, and this is part 2 of a 3-part series that I'm creating. And in part 1, we talked about prayer. Hi, Mike. Good to see you this morning. In part 1, we talked about prayer, and I shared about my journey and what how I got started in prayer and what prayer felt like for me and what prayer was like for me, and I also talked about everything happening. Hi, Alicia. Good to see you this morning. I also talked about everything happening for a reason, and that nothing in life happens by mistake, that I am a participant in it, I'm a co-creator in it, and sometimes that can be pretty hard to take. And so today I want to talk about meditation, and I want to talk, there's a difference between prayer and meditation for me. Prayer always feels like it is something that's external for me. It is something that is, I'm looking outward. I'm looking for something outside of myself to either address something. And the 4 things that I talked about in prayer last week were, prayer is to entreat or implore. It is to get or bring about through prayer. It's to make a humble request, or it's to address God. And for me, those things seem like they're external. And I think that that's really a necessary part of my spiritual journey, of my spiritual process, to look outside of myself to something bigger than me. But there's also this part of my journey where I need to look within, and that's what the meditation part is. It is about paying attention. It's about paying attention to what's going on inside of me. It's about paying attention to what's going on around me. It's about learning how to slow down, to pause, to pray, and then to proceed. And it's about finding ways to listen to the small, still voice that is inside of me and that is connected to the God, as I understand God, that I pray to on the outside. And it really is about, it's about discovering my soul. It's about discovering my soul. So when I talk about paying attention, I'm paying attention to my thoughts when I'm in meditation. It's about really getting quiet and getting still and stopping activity and stopping the racing that goes on in my mind and a lot of times in my world. And I pay attention to my thoughts, and sometimes my body isn't willing to stop. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do meditation. There's a lot of different ways that you can pay attention. And if part of paying attention or part of meditating for you has always been, I can't make myself stop. I can't stop the racing thoughts. There's this whole practice in meditation, which is moving meditation. There's walking meditation, and the Sufis danced in their meditation. So there are different ways. It's not just sitting with your fingers in a circle and, humming Om. That's certainly a form of meditation, but it's not the only form. It's about paying attention, and it's about paying attention. So when I talk about that in the context of my thoughts, it's really stepping into the room and quieting my mind and then listening and paying attention to the thoughts. And sometimes it kind of feels like a little highway that the thoughts are racing by in little cars. And I pay attention to them. I don't try to shut them down. I don't tell myself, oh, you shouldn't be thinking. You're supposed to be meditating. You're supposed to be being quiet. You shouldn't be paying attention to your thoughts. I really feel like paying attention to my thoughts is part of the meditative process. And I'm grateful for the ability to be able to do that. I also spend time paying attention to what's going on in my body. I pay attention to what I feel. And there's this great book, if you're a beginning meditator, it's called Commit to Sit, and it's a 30-day practice where you start out really small and you start out by just noticing what's happening in your body. So, if you're watching this live today, I'm going to invite you to just take a second and close your eyes and just be silent with what's around you. And notice what you notice. Are you noticing thoughts? Are you noticing sensations? Are you noticing sounds in your environment? I hear the rain falling off the roof of the pavilion that I'm sitting in. I hear the birds off in the distance. Right, so there's ways. And in the beginning, when I first started meditating, that was the extent of it. That's about how long I could sit. That's about what I could muster, was just a few seconds. And it's like, oh my gosh, there's things that are going on, right? And I had been so out of tune with my body for so long that the only thing I noticed was when I was in excruciating pain over something, but I didn't notice the subtle little things. I didn't notice that when I'm really quiet, I can actually hear my heartbeat in my ears. When I'm really quiet, I can feel sometimes my pulse moving through my fingers. And I didn't notice that right away. So that was really cool for me. Hi, Teresa. Good morning. I'm glad you're joining this morning. So there's this way that, starting the meditation process really is about paying attention. That's the first piece for it. And one of the things that I know today is, like everything in my spiritual practice, I don't get to do my spiritual practice. There's this way that I think I have to make time to do that, to do my spiritual practice. And what I know today is that I can't make time. Time is a finite thing. I have to take the time. I don't get to make the time. So I take the time today to do my meditation. So the first thing is to pay attention. And if you can't do it, like I said, if you can't do it sitting down and being completely quiet, pay attention when you take a walk. Be really deliberate in the way you take your steps. Do you put your heel down first? Does your foot roll when you take that step? Or maybe when you're doing the dishes. Pay attention. Do you hold the dish in your left hand and do you wipe with your right hand? Because anything that you can do, you can turn it into a meditative process. You can turn it into a meditative practice. And so the idea of slowing down, there's so many different ways, right? We live in a really fast world. We live in a world where everything is instant, and that it can be really hard to slow down because of that. And, slowing down our mind and slowing down our thoughts and slowing down our body is really good for our body. It is a huge part of the healing process. It's a practice that they talk about in Ayurvedic medicine all the time. And it's a practice that they're beginning to recognize that meditation is really a powerful tool to help us, to physically help us heal our body, that it's got some really powerful brain-body connections, and so it's just a good practice to get into. And some of the things that happen for me when I start to listen is that I start to pay attention. I start to see things that I didn't actually notice before. I start to notice that even when it feels like it's really quiet, there's still noises going on. There are things that are happening in nature. And I'll get ideas that will pop into my head, and they really feel like inspiration. I'll think of somebody that I hadn't thought about in a really long time, and I'll get the urge to connect with them. And I'll pick up the phone and I'll call them, and I'll realize, oh my gosh, after talking to them, they were struggling and wanted to talk or needed to talk. Or I was struggling and realized that I needed to talk with them, and we shared a piece of information with each other that was helpful. So there's a way that meditation paves the way for that kind of thing. It's a way for me to navigate through the world at large. I get pretty impacted by the political things that are going on, and I get impacted by things that are going on in other people's lives when they have crisis or they have struggles that they're going through. I get impacted by that. And there's a way in my meditation practice that I get to put a boundary up between me and the person or the people or the world or the things that I'm interacting with. And that is something that's hugely powerful. And at the end of today's show, I'm going to walk us through a guided meditation that'll help with that. So if you've never done a meditation like that, it will be, maybe it'll be something that'll be helpful for you. One of the other things, hi Cindy, thanks for joining this morning. And if you guys have any questions or anything, you can feel free to ask, and I'll respond to them as best I can. So I think the fourth thing that, I miss you too, Cindy. I'll hopefully see you tonight, actually. So one of the things that meditation does is it helps me find a way to connect to my soul or to connect to my spirit. And I found today that is the thing that I long for. That's the piece that ends up being missed mostly out of anything in my life, is my connection to soul and my connection to spirit. And there's this way that when I reconnect to that part of myself, my life takes on this whole new meaning. It becomes this adventure. It becomes this place of wonder that I used to have when I was a kid. And I'd look up at the stars and I'd be in that space of wonder that said, wow, what is going on? How does this happen? Where is this all coming from? And taking the time to connect in meditation is something that helps me connect to that wonder again, and I'm really grateful for that. And, it helps awaken this part of me that is asleep. It had been asleep for a good chunk of my life. And in that part of me that sleeps, there's this serenity, and there's this clarity, and there's this joy and this connection to power. And it's not connection to power like I'm in power, but this connection to strength and to confidence and to knowing that I'm enough, and being connected to light and vision and gifts from my soul. So there's this way that the meditation process really, really helps me with all of that. And I'm a regular meditator. I've been practicing daily meditation for a long, long time. And I think that my practice in my daily meditation is a huge part of what has allowed me to continue to be on the planet. I have learned things in the meditative process, like learning how to open and close the sphincter muscles on the capillaries in my body so I can restrict blood flow or send blood flow to certain parts of my body. And I used that in meditation to help heal myself. And if you want to know more about using meditation for that kind of stuff, I only dabble and play in that, but Deepak Chopra is a master teacher in Ayurvedic medicine. There's so much information out there that you can go to and use for learning how to meditate in that context. But just the sense of protecting myself from the world, I think that's the meditation that I'm going to walk you through today. In my spiritual practice, when I was becoming certified to be a coach, one of the things that I learned how to do was to do guided meditation. So I'm going to invite you, if you're in a place that you're comfortable and you can close your eyes, I'm going to invite you to do that. And I'm just going to invite you to take a nice deep breath in. And when you get to the top of that breath, I'm going to invite you to hold it for a couple of seconds. And then just let that breath fall out of your mouth. And go ahead and take another deep breath in like that. And when you get to the top of that breath, hold it for a couple of seconds and let it fall out of your mouth. And go ahead and do that one more time at your own pace, at your own speed. And now, go ahead and imagine that there's a cord coming out of the bottom of your spine and traveling through whatever it is that you're sitting on and through the floor of the dwelling that you're in and connecting down to Mother Earth. And that's your grounding cord. That's what keeps you connected to all that is. It's what connects you to the heartbeat of our Savior. Solid grounding connection to all that is. Being connected to the web of life. And on your next breath in, I want you to imagine that there's a disc above your head, about 10 inches. And that disc has a set of French doors that open up to the heaven. And imagine that disc opening those doors and letting the light of heaven shine down. And in that space, about 12 inches above that disc, is a golden ball of shimmering light. And that light starts to send a beam of light down over the top of you. And it connects to the top of your head. And as it connects to the top of your head, it warms the crown of your head. And you can feel that light traveling, penetrating your skull, and filling your head with warmth and gentleness and calmness. And at the same time that light is traveling through your body, it's also forming a cocoon around the outside of you. And you feel that light touching your skin, traveling down your face, the back of your head, and gently touching your shoulders, your arms. And feel the light traveling inside of you, connecting to your throat and your heart, and bathing all of those parts of your body with warm, gentle light. Clearing out anything that might be negative that's connected to you. Any worries or thoughts or concerns that you might be feeling in your environment, in your relationships, in your job. You feel it traveling down through your stomach and your pelvic area, inside and outside of your legs as it makes the bend around your waist, around your hips, traveling down your knees, and the long bones of your shins. And finally resting with your feet. And as you sit in that warm golden light, you feel the healing that's going on in your body. You feel the gentleness of your higher self connecting to you. You feel the warmth. And you recognize that the cocoon that's around you is like a big bubble. And you can see it shimmering and moving. And you notice that it's a membrane. And in that membrane, you have the capacity to program it and invite into your personal space, into your sacred space, the things that are in harmony with who you are and who you want to be. And you look around your life and you identify the people, perhaps the animals, the circumstances, the situations that you consciously choose to invite into your space, to come closer. And as those things that you've identified come closer to you, you feel them too touched and purified and warmed by the light. And as you breathe in and breathe out, you notice there are things on the outside of that membrane who are interested in coming in. And as they approach, they are bounced off. They're unable to gain access. That membrane is keeping you safe. It's keeping you protected. It's giving you the moment of pause to be able to evaluate what you want to invite into your space and what you prefer to keep out. And as you sit in silence, give yourself permission to watch the thoughts and the ideas, the situations and the circumstances that are approaching or inside of your cocoon. And know that you have complete control over what comes in and what stays out. And take a few minutes to notice, to identify, to consciously decide what you want to experience and what you'd like to keep out. And as you breathe in, breathe deeply and feel that light intensify. Feel the temperature change. Feel the illumination change. Bask in the glory of the feeling that you get to enjoy. And know that you can come back to this space anytime you choose. All you need to do is pause. And connect to spirit. And I'm going to invite you to start gathering your energy. I'm going to invite you to start to take your hands starting at your feet and just sweep your body about 6 inches from touching your skin. And just sweep your body and remove that membrane. And start to bring yourself back to the consciousness of what's going on in your room. Start to bring yourself back to your own awareness. Start to connect and plug in to your environment. And when you feel ready, go ahead and open your eyes. And bring yourself back. So, that is a guided meditation that I use pretty frequently. And I usually use it before I'm ready to leave, when I'm ready to go and do some kind of situation or be engaged in some kind of situation. So I hope that you were able to sit back and relax during the meditation, and that it was peaceful for you and comfortable, and that you find something in this meditation that was helpful. And I also want to invite you, if you want to explore more about meditation, there is a ton of information on YouTube for different meditations. And if you just go out to YouTube and do a search on meditations, you can find all sorts of different practices. And I really invite you to explore opportunities that might be available. And I appreciate your joining me today. And if there is anything that you'd like to know more about in meditation, or if you have any questions about anything, I'm happy to answer them. Feel free to list them on the bottom of the show notes, and I will get back to you. And as always, if there was anything in this episode that was helpful to you, I would appreciate it if you'd like it. And if you'd share it, it would make it available for more people. And I'll put another toss out there for anybody who is a cancer survivor. If you or have survived cancer yourself, or have walked the journey of cancer with someone and would like to share your story, I'm collecting 1,000 cancer survivor stories to be put into my my book project and my blog project. So you can reach out to me at 1,000 cancer survivors at allaboutspirit.com. And I'm happy to have a conversation with you about that, or you can just submit your story. And I think that that's all I have for today. I hope that you enjoy this beautiful rain that we're getting in Wisconsin, which we definitely so desperately need. And until we have a chance to connect, I hope that life treats you well. Thanks, and make it a great day.